Hi, everybody. This is Deana Paqua of EmbodyTheSacred.net. And I wanted to share a little bit today about working with everyday anxiety. Okay. So we're still in the middle of this ongoing pandemic with COVID-19, and a lot of folks are stressed and anxious for a lot of different reasons, including worrying about our health and that of our loved ones, and just not really sure about the future, right? So, and we know that chronic anxiety and stress also can have an impact on our health and our immune systems. And why not figure out some different ways that we can navigate through, right, these stressful patterns? So, what I'm going to be sharing does not replace consulting with a healthcare practitioner or a licensed psychologist or counselor or psychiatrist. So just know that this is just educational information, uh, just meant to be supportive and not replace conventional treatment. Okay. So just to share a little bit about my own history with anxiety, um, probably anxious since I was a kid. I mean, so many of us, right? Without even realizing it or acknowledging it or even knowing that was what was going on. I was uh, a worrier for sure, would always worry in advance about grades or what was happening at school or friends or, looking for jobs or whatever, right? Worrying about what other people think. So it's a process. And then when I was in my 20s, I had found out that I had malignant melanoma when I was a senior in college, and very gratefully was able to get rid of it through surgery. So I had an excellent surgeon, and actually, it was the nurse at my dermatologist who first spotted it. I was 20, 21 years old, didn't think anything could be wrong with me or that, my life could be threatened in any way. And for a few months, we didn't know how, if it had spread or how far it had gone and what kind of treatments I was going to need. And it was terrifying because it is a cancer that can kill people. So that kind of that definitely exacerbated existing anxiety that I already had. So, um, fast forward a few years, and we're in the middle of the AIDS and the HIV scares and epidemics, right? And it was before we knew fully how it could be transmitted or um, all of that. So it just sort of reignited my fear of my own mortality, and it just kind of took on a life of its own. And unfortunately for me, working with a therapist and with a psychiatrist, I even took medication. It didn't get to it. It wasn't enough to really pull me out of that mental prison that I was in of stress and anxiety. So it really was the thing that kind of pushed me out of conventional ways to see if there were any other things that could possibly help to address my fears. And that's when I started working with holistic and natural healing modalities. Now, to be perfectly honest, I would have gladly taken a pill if it had helped me, but unfortunately, I didn't have any luck in that arena. But I am certainly more than in favor of Western medicine for a variety of things, right? And it really just depends on the person and what's needed for their unique situation. And I think in a lot of ways there isn't one size fits all, even though there can be treatments that work for very many people. So it's really about finding the things that work for us and also listening to science and listening to experts in their fields. Like, when it comes to figuring out what to do for myself for, staying healthy, uh, during the pandemic that we're in now, I went and got the COVID shots, and I'm doing uh, working with herbal protocols and supplements that I've learned about through colleagues of mine who are trained nutritionists and herbalists. So it's listening to folks who have expertise in their particular fields. Like I have a great chiropractor, but I am not listening to him about what he has to say about, protecting my immune system. I'm sorry, he's not an epidemiologist or a virologist. And nor is he a trained nutritionist or herbalist. So, these are the things where we have to, humble ourselves and say, what is my area of expertise? So my area of expertise is in mind-body modalities, spiritual, the combination of spirituality and health, and some areas of natural healing that are connected to ancestral and indigenous healing traditions that I have permission to work with from my teachers. So what I'm going to share today actually are pretty simple uh, remedies or modalities that could be incorporated into your existing self-care routines for working with anxiety. Okay. So one really simple thing that's really important, especially for those of us who are air signs. I'm an Aquarius sun, so I'm in my head an awful lot. And this isn't the best place to be all the time. Not that we want to ignore our logic or analytical abilities, but sometimes we can get on that ruminating hamster wheel, right? If you study the tarot, it's the Nine of Swords, and we just can't get out of our own head sometimes. So the key is to get into the body and to connect with nature. These are two things that I found really, really helpful. So how do we get into our bodies? So there's many different ways. A couple of things that I like are just simple tapping on meridian points. Some have worked with EFT, which is extremely helpful. It's another modality that I really love. But just for today, we're going to tap on the thymus. Whoops, we got dog barkings in the background. So I don't know, are they going to tap on their thymus with their barks? I'm not really sure. But anyway, so I like to tap in a circle counterclockwise. So that's towards your right shoulder. Okay. And it also helps when you're doing any kind of body-based work to take deep breaths. So breathing deep down into the abdomen. That's my dog Lexi settling herself. So nice deep breaths down into the abdomen. Okay. Nice taps. And you can even use your knuckles. Okay, I like to breathe down into my feet. Another thing that you can do that's really easy is just wiggle fingers and toes or stretch fingers, clench and unclench fists and toes. Okay, helps to get us into the body. The other thing I really like doing is some kind of breathing exercise. Okay, so I like the count of 4 because 4 is a number of stability. It's like the 4 walls of a room or a house. 4 directions, right? East, west, north, and south. So I like to inhale to the count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 4, exhale to the count of 4, and then hold for a count of 4. So inhaling, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. So inhaling, hold, exhale, hold, counting at your own pace to the count of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, inhaling, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice where you're breathing. Are you breathing down into your belly? Are we still breathing up in our chests? Okay. So this can be really helpful, just tuning into where the breath is going, right, in our bodies. All right, so just tuning into that can be really, really helpful. A lot of us have heard or used techniques for grounding. So when we're talking about grounding, it's another way of being in our body, right, rather than being stuck up here in the hamster wheel. but it's also feeling connected to the earth and to nature. And with a lot of folks, myself included, we spend way too much time indoors. We're cut off from the natural magnetics and earth energies, right? Unless we're walking around barefoot, which honestly, there's ice and snow on the ground. I'm not going to be doing it. So, you know, we can bring some nature indoors by having some house plants. They're also really good at transmuting, some of our heavy energy around us, and also working with stones and crystals, and also with our minds. So, tuning into your feet or the base of the spine. And if you're familiar with the energy centers, there's an energy center that's called the root chakra at the base of the spine. So you can extend like a giant tree trunk or tree roots coming out of the base of your spine and going into the earth really deep, or coming out of your feet. Okay, so doing that visualization and intention to connect with the earth through your feet or the base of the spine can be very, very helpful. Okay. And just thinking about our gratitude from in our relationship with the earth, that everything that we have really comes from her. Right. So we can think about how grateful we are to have this beautiful planet, and that we all do better to do right by her. Okay, so you can think about that. Be grateful for all that you have that comes from Mother Earth. Okay, and so, and speaking of stones and crystals, I brought out a few stones and crystals that I really like for supporting relief from anxiety. One of my favorites is lepidolite. Okay, it's like may not be able to really tell in this light, but it's like a very pale lavender, and it has sparkles in it. Not like, it does have sparkles. So it has lithium in it, natural lithium. And I like to hold, you can even rub it in your palm, okay? But I like to hold in my left hand and even over your heart and your thymus again, and just taking some deep breaths and being appreciative of having this beautiful stone with you, and asking it to support your relief from these fears and anxieties. And you could sit with it for as long as you need to. Another stone I love, and this is just one form of it, is black tourmaline. And black tourmaline is very grounding. So again, that grounding, it also helps to transmute dense and heavy and discordant energy. So it's like one of my favorites. I also like to hold, like I might hold lepidolite in my left hand and I might hold black tourmaline in my right, with the intention of sending my stressful and discordant energy and thoughts into the black tourmaline, and then taking in the calming energy of the lepidolite through my left side and my left hand. Okay. Another stone I absolutely love is kyanite. So this is blue kyanite, and I like to place this up close to the throat and over my chest, and even holding that there, or even holding again in the left hand. And this is a stone that helps with aligning our energy. So if our energy is aligned, we're going to feel better. It also helps to protect us from discordant energy because of helping to align our energy. Okay. So those are some of my favorite crystals to help with anxiety. Another very gentle modality that I absolutely love, it's one of my favorites for pretty much all my clients and students to recommend, because there really are no contraindications, because it's such a gentle therapy, and it's flower essences. And flower essences are created by infusing these beautiful blossoms in full bloom at the height of their beauty and presence into spring water. And then that's transferred, and some drops are placed into a mother essence and stock bottles that we can buy from the Flower Essence Society, or if you have a local store that you can get them from, uh, that can be very helpful. Okay. So my favorite flower essences, and I'll talk about how to use them. One of my favorites, especially being an Aquarius sun and the Nine of Swords incarnate, is white chestnut. Okay. So this is the remedy that helps us get off that hamster wheel of repetitive, anxious and worried thoughts. Okay. So white chestnut, one of my favorites. All you need to do, especially if you're in acute phase of anxiety, is put 4 drops of this essence under your tongue. Now there is alcohol in it, but you can also put the drops in a little bit of water and drink it down. And you would want to do this at least 4 times a day. Honestly, you could take this 20 times a day and it wouldn't be too much unless you have an alcohol sensitivity. White chestnut. And the other 2 remedies that are excellent for fear and anxiety, one is mimulus, okay, another flower essence. Again, 4 drops under the tongue. You can use them together. This helps us with things that we are fearful of that we know. We know what the fear is. Like I'm worried about paying my bills this month. I'm worried about this whole, new variant of COVID and what's happening with that. Okay, you know what you're afraid of, mimulus. Aspen is when we have anxiety or fear, but we don't know what the cause is. We just feel anxious and fearful. Aspen. Okay. So you can take those all together, 4 drops of each under the tongue or 4 drops in a little bit of water. Drink it down all at once, 4 times a day. It flower essences have no contraindications. So they can be taken if someone is taking medication, it's not going to be a contraindication. Okay. So it's one of the few modalities along with Reiki, which I won't be getting into today, but a lot of folks already know about Reiki, which I highly recommend to learn to do Reiki for yourself. At least take a level 1 class. That can definitely help. It's so calming. It was how I got into it. I was in the corporate world. I was recovering from a near fatal car accident with multiple serious injuries and surgeries. And someone told me about Reiki. I didn't even know what it was. And I took it and I immediately felt so much calmer, so much more relaxed. And it also sped up my healing process. And someday I'll do a video just about that. So, because it was so amazing, it literally started me on the journey of changing my career from being a corporate graphic designer to being a full-time teacher and practitioner of spiritual and holistic health. And I went to school to become a massage therapist, in large part because of what Reiki did, because hands-on healing was so powerful for me. So anyway, we'll talk about that some other time in another video. But just to continue along our track of natural remedies to support anxiety relief. Of course, essential oils are wonderful. I have a couple of different blends, and you can find different blends. Like this is Young Living. It's called Peace and Calming. Many different companies have their own version of like a calming blend. And normally they have some kind of combination of lavender. So this is Highland lavender. They're actually called Synergy Apothecary now, or aromatherapy, Synergy Aromatherapy. But lavender, very gentle. You could put some in a spray bottle. It's best to dilute essential oils before applying them topically. So getting a little bit of carrier oil, like a grape seed, you could even use olive oil, almond oil, avocado oil. I like jojoba oil, like if you're going to create a little roll-on for yourself, you could do that. So like a little roll-on bottle like this, you could put 12 drops of your essential oil or a few different essential oils. So the ones that I like for anxiety, of course, lavender, like I mentioned, chamomile, Roman chamomile, if you can find it, is really good for calming. Some of the more grounding oils like patchouli, clary sage, vetiver, grounding and will get you into your body. So you could create a little blend for yourself with those oils or find a calming blend. A lot of companies offer them. I also like Floricopia. They're an excellent brand and they are very focused on sustainability and quality in their oils. This is called Centered and it's a Palo Santo and lavender blend, it's one of my favorites. So it has a very opening spiritual quality, but also very grounding at the same time. So those are a few ways that you can help to support yourself in relieving anxiety, help your overall health and well-being by balancing out that stress. The other thing I would recommend is getting in touch with a nutritionist, a qualified clinical herbalist and nutritionist, and they can recommend to you possibly like some anxiety relief herbs and supplements. One that I really like in general is some sort of adaptogen, because adaptogens are more tonic based, where they support your whole system. They can calm the fight or flight response, relieve stress, support the immune system. There are many different adaptogens, from tulsi to ashwagandha to rhodiola, just to name a few. Maca is another adaptogen, but everyone's system is different. That's the thing. So speaking to qualified practitioners, if you can make such a huge difference. All right, so thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. If there's anything else that you're interested in as far as my work goes, you can visit my website, embodythesacred.net, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks so much.